morning, everyone, and welcome to PUMA's flagship store on Carnaby Street. Has everyone had a good Thursday?
Yeah.
Are you as happy as I am that it's almost the weekend? Yeah. Okay, great. That's how I feel, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm Felicia, I'm the founder of Season Zine, and I'm really happy to be hosting this PUMA women's football panel. So we're going to discuss the present and the future of the game, but also the progress that the next generation of athletes are making. So I have to ask, did everyone watch the Lionesses thrash China, yeah? Right? Right, is everyone trying to watch as much as possible? Because it's every 4 years, yeah? I know, but it's a reason to work from home, right?
Absolutely.
Have it on in the background, mute it for your meeting, but have the subtitles so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, brilliant. So we're also celebrating tonight, PUMA's football industry leading innovation. So it's the new Ultra, Future and King styles in the Breakthrough boot pack. And it's a women's specific fit, which is really important. I'm going to say that a lot tonight. So as you can see, I'm joined by a brilliant panel. They're ballers, they're trailblazers in the women's game. And now I'm going to ask them all to introduce themselves. So we're going to start with Katie.
Oh, thanks.
Millie told me to start her.
Oh, come on, you're in the forefront of all this. You're quiz to start. No, Katie Chapman, former professional player, played for many big clubs. Now the Chelsea ambassador, and obviously, helping PUMA with the next up, turning into a manager, which has been fun. And just hoping to, still be involved and push the women's game forward, and be a big part of, this innovation, really.
Tell everyone about what you were saying about training and getting women that have had kids back into the game, because I think that's really important. I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think since retiring, my passion has become to become a personal trainer, obviously pre and postnatal. So getting women through pregnancy and back onto the pitch and back playing, because I've done it 3 times myself and it can be done.
Perfect, amazing. Oh wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't write that. Right, Hannah.
Hi, so I'm Hannah, so I work for PUMA. So it might be educational for everyone else in our team to know what my actual job is, because I don't think anyone knows. But basically, so I'm the buyer for the retail, so basically everything you see in the store here today on .com, that's kind of my responsibility. But obviously as a football player myself, something that I'm super passionate about is the women's fit boots, and having this in the store today is just amazing. So super happy to have all these guys here and all you here to talk about the products today.
Amazing.
Oh, you don't.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, my name's Grace. I'm the founder of Miss Kick and Miss Kick Foundation. My story is I was super passionate as a young girl playing football and felt like there was something really missing in the women's game. So founded Miss Kick when I was at university, and we're all about creating a community, creating content. Everything that we did was about putting her first in football, because I felt like that was something that I really missed when I was growing up. So yeah, excited to be on the panel today and talking about all the amazing things that PUMA are doing.
Amazing. But you have to you deserve it. All right, Poppy.
Poppy Pattinson, play for Brighton Women currently. This will be my 5th season professional. So yeah, happy to be here and obviously repping PUMA.
And last but not least, Millie.
Hi everyone, I'm Millie and I play for Tottenham with the academy, and I was also part of the Next Up PUMA team.
Okay, so obviously make sure you follow them all on socials. At the end, I'll actually give you a chance to plug the socials in case you need that extra push. Right, so let's get on to it. So we're here to talk about the Breakthrough pack. Gosh, I can't speak. They are the fastest boots in that pack are the Ultra, and they've been redesigned. And then there's also, are we?
As modelled here by, yes.
Modelled by Millie.
Here.
Sorry, this just happened now. And then we've got the Future, that was inspired by Neymar. And then we've got the King, which has a non-animal based upper. And that obviously they're now available in new colourways to match. So yeah, make sure you check them out. They're here and they're here?
They're here. They're all here.
They're here. And if you get the chance, try them on, because obviously that's the first step before you wear them when you play. So, Hannah, can you tell us a bit more about PUMA's football boot offering for women and what further progress you've made in this Breakthrough pack?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing to mention that obviously this pack here, it's not the first time that Puma have done women's football boots. So back in 2021, we started off with just the Ultra in a women's fit to kind of like stage it within the market. Last year we then brought in the Future, which we've seen great success with, and then obviously this year we've got all three, Puma, King, Ultra, all available in the women's fit, so it's kind of the first time that we've had all three styles available. And I think the great thing with what we've done with the Breakthrough pack is not only we've got all three available, but also not just at the top tier price point, we've got the second tier price point as well. So kind of what we're doing is catering not just to obviously the very top end of the football, we're trying to cater to everyone, all the different styles of play that these boots have. So hopefully we've got a boot for every woman here in this room today. So that's what we're doing with the Breakthrough pack here, and it's great that we've aligned it with the Women's Foot World Cup for the marketing. So
I guess my question is, why are they pink? Because there's always this thing that people pinkify things for women in football. And this is a nicer pink than usual. Obviously, it's like a horrible pink, a great fuchsia pink, but why is it pink?
It's bad time to say that I'm partially colourblind, aren't I? So are they pink? No, I think if we look at like the technical, it'd be like a fiery coral or something like that. But
yeah.
To be honest with you, when we have white, these kind of colourways, we know just from the research that they're one of our top selling styles across all genders. So obviously they weren't just designed to pink it just because it's with obviously women in mind. So it's kind of across men's, women's. This is kind of like the colourway that the guys have chosen. And you'll see it in the running area as well across both genders. So kind of, it wasn't a decision based on gender. It's just kind of, this is the colour palette that the brand have gone with. So. But yeah, but it is a very nice.
Keep the pink.
I
love the pink.
Keep the pink.
Yes.
So yeah, I think maybe it's one of those things though. It's that thing that people. I love pink. I've had all pink boots before as well, and yeah.
I know we're in like Barbie core, but it's.
Of course, it's changed our psyche, hasn't it? But yeah.
So before I ask more questions to the rest of the panel, I just wanted to ask you, Hannah, to really explain to us why the women's fit is important and how it helps the players.
I think it's just so important. I think just where we are with women's football in general, it's bizarre to think it's 2023 and we're only just now really talking about having a boot that fits our feet. So I think what's super important, something that Puma have really focused on, it's all about comfort as the main thing. I think all of us up here over the years have worn boots that are too big for us. We've had to wear 2 pairs of socks, they've given us blisters, they've not fitted correctly. And finally we've got one here that, because honestly I play in this and it's the comfiest boot. I'm not just saying it because obviously Puma pay me to. It's genuinely the most comfortable boot that I've ever worn personally, and I think one of the most important things is it's the most important piece of equipment that we wear. We shouldn't have to think about it on our feet, it should just be an extension of our body, and I think with these boots having the correct fit, that's what we're trying to achieve here, and I think we have done.
Amazing. So Katie, you obviously played when there wasn't a women's fit. What are your thoughts on brands developing products tailored to women specifically?
I think it is, as you said, it's about time that we did it. We are different, we're not men, we're women, and we are built completely different. And that is in every way, shape or form. And feet, you know, as you say, they're our equipment and they're really important. There's nothing worse when you take your boots off at the end of the game and your feet are throbbing, or you've got blisters, or, you know, it's really uncomfortable. And then you've got to get yourself, a blister is the worst thing ever to have, I think, when you play. Then you've got to get ready to put them back on again, which you don't want to do, and then play another game. So I think, you know, it is about time, and, you know, comfort is important, because I think, you know, you feel good. When you feel comfortable in something you're wearing, you feel good.
Amazing. I want to ask you about this, Millie, because you're kind of at the start of your career and rising through the ranks. I mean, do you wear women's specific fits, or do you still kind of pick men's styles at this point?
Well, obviously I just started wearing these boots and I've seen a big difference. I used to get really sore feet from wearing the other Ultras, but when I changed to these, my feet stopped getting sore and draining, and yeah, it's been really good.
Amazing. What's most important to you? Design, performance, comfort, all three, 2, 1?
I think the most important is comfort.
Yeah.
I like a boot that fits my foot well, and these really fit my foot well. And also I like bright colours.
Cool. So you want to look good too?
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm going to throw a stat in here. I love stats. I'm a stat queen. So a recent European Club Association study found that as many as 82% of the female footballers in Europe that took part in it experienced discomfort wearing football boots. So Poppy, you actually wear the Ultra. Can you tell us about how they've made a difference in your game when you've been playing for Brighton, and what do they actually feel like to play it?
Yeah, like ever since the Ultra came into women's fit, I switched to that, and I actually haven't tried the other ones because that one was perfect for me. Like Hannah said, everyone's different. She prefers the Future, but yeah, I actually struggle with a foot injury, And yeah, I think I've spoken to a lot of people, foot specialists over the years, and they talk about the boots, and they said literally the men's football boot is not great for you. So yeah, it's good for me now. And yeah, you don't want to feel your boot on your foot, to be honest, when you're playing. And yeah, I'm happy in them and hopefully do good for me, eh?
Well, yeah, season starts soon, isn't it? Right, I'm going to share another stat with everyone. So we've been talking a lot about ACL injuries, obviously, in the last kind of few months, but you know, female players are known to be between 2 and 10 times more likely to suffer an ACL injury than their male counterparts. And actually, this I actually found really shocking, but it says only 63% to 81% of athletes return to the same level of competition following the injury. So you might not even get back to where you were. But obviously, once you've had the injury, there's no way of knowing. So I guess I'm going to throw this to you, Grace. In your experience founding Miss Kick Foundation, you know, what role and responsibility do you feel that brands like PUMA have to invest in the game? So leading this research, helping safeguard against injury and enhancing the recovery for female footballers through their products?
I think it's massive. I'm reading a really amazing book at the moment, and I was shocked to find out that only 6% of sports and exercise research is actually done on women. So we're wondering why we're seeing all these injuries at the moment. We heard Leah Williamson talk about it in the press recently, saying how as women we experience different challenges, whether that's hormonal, whether it's stress, and the hip ratio that increases the chances of ACL injury. And ultimately, if we're wanting to inspire more girls to have a professional career in football, we need to put places in steps now, otherwise we're going to have increased injuries and problems. And I think on a more sort of fun level as well, I think as a young girl growing up and going into stores like this, it would have been amazing for me to see a women's fit boot on the shelf, and that really puts a message out to the industry that there is a safe space for girls in sport, which I think is, yeah, really cool.
Amazing. You can really see the progress like over all of you guys' careers, can't you? Hannah, can you break down PUMA's investment into ACL research?
I can. So basically this has only got announced last week that it's from our Chief Product Officer who's committed, obviously as PUMA, that we're going to invest in the research. I think as we've already mentioned, there's... I'm not sure what that was. So we don't know exactly what that's going to be, but obviously we've made the commitment, so when we get more information it'll be shared obviously with everyone, I imagine, on socials. But the biggest thing at the moment is we don't have the research, and we know that it's not just brands, it's governing bodies, it's sports science, and we were chatting about it before. It's been a problem in the women's game for as long as any of us can remember, but just now it seems to have come, obviously with everything with the Lionesses, the success, household names, it's come to the forefront now, and finally people are starting to realise that obviously we are different, it needs a lot more research. So I think as a brand I'm super proud that obviously we're committing to doing that, and I imagine it'll be even more investment into looking into the boots even further, whether there's other changes potentially in the product going forward based on the research, to try and contribute to that, the change in the game. And like you said, we don't want all these girls having all these injuries, and it's getting back from the injuries as well. So yeah, I think it's a great step from the brand.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing what you can share right now.
Yeah, it's all top secret,
Stay tuned to see what PUMA do next in this space. So I'm going to turn everyone's attention to the World Cup. Obviously we can't escape it right now. It's been really thrilling. Today was particularly exciting. And I wanted to ask you guys, I'm going to list some players, and I want you to tell me who you think is having the best tournament. And 2 of them played today. So we've got Alexandra Popp, who actually wears the Ultra boot. We've got Jess Carter, she wears the Future boot. Eugenie Le Sommer for France, who wears the Ultra boot. And Rosella Ayane for Morocco, who also wears the Future boot. So who do you think is having the best tournament and why? Bear in mind what happened today.
And we just like to point out we do have the Morocco jerseys in store if anyone wants to at the end of the session.
You all know what happened today, right? Yeah, Morocco progressed, Germany got knocked out, just in case you didn't know.
Go on, who wants to go?
So, who wants to go first?
That's what I think you got to pick, right? Morocco. Underdogs. You know, they're having the team, so yeah, great tournament. You know, everyone loves to see an underdog do well, and a big giant, especially Germans, to be honest.
But you can say that. Have you guys seen the picture on social media already of like Alex Popp got that player of the match?
Listen, Alex Popp, she's unbelievable. Yeah. She's a fantastic player. Has she had a great tournament? Has Germany had a great tournament? Not really. When you look at
She
success
scored-
going
she scored
through,
3
we're going to
times.
see more of Morocco though, right?
Yeah.
Germany's done. We're not going to see any more of Alexander. We're going to see more of Morocco.
we're saying Rosella, right? Rosella's having the best
Yeah.
tournament in her future boots, right?
Absolutely. I think Jess is having a great
I'm
tournament
sure
as
they're
well.
all having a great time with
Yeah,
their
well,
boots.
it's the boots, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're all
I've had
having
an
a
amazing time playing a woman's boot.
Fair enough.
great time with the tongue.
All right, fair enough. So, Hannah, what is Puma doing there on the ground? Like I heard there's a special pitch in Sydney.
There is. I don't know if anyone's seen it on the Puma social Instagram account. They've got this really cool pitch that they built in Sydney. I don't know where my invite, it must have got lost in the post because I didn't get it. But no, have a look. Honestly, go on the Puma socials. It looks incredible. They held kind of similar to this, a panel talk over there with like our chief product officer, the product line managers who are obviously really heavily involved in these boots, and there's some great content on there. So have a look, see what we're doing, but there is some great stuff over in Sydney going on with Puma.
Amazing. So Grace, can you share a bit about Miss Kick's foundation journey, but also like how do you harness the power of a tournament like this in your work going forward?
Yeah, it's been crazy to be honest. Obviously started what I was doing 5 years ago now. The biggest thing that I'm really proud about is our community and how that's kind of grown. So it all kind of started off with, it was mostly in lockdown where girls were messaging me saying they're missing football, they're missing their friends. And ultimately I created this very small WhatsApp chat with 32 girls in it, and this has grown now into literally thousands of girls all over the world. Thankfully I'm not on WhatsApp anymore, we've moved over to Discord. But yeah, I'm really proud of that and how it's sort of grown. And in terms of the World Cup, like when I was growing up, I didn't have the access and opportunity to watch the game. And now in the group chats, the girls are obsessed with it. It's so great, they send each other memes. We've got girls all over the world sort of like bantering and stuff. And yeah, we've had amazing success as a charity as well. We've recently partnered with Georgia Asda and released a specific collection, and they're donating 10% of the profits to the charity, and that's all come about because of the increased awareness of the World Cup and what's going on.
Amazing. So, now take us back to last summer. The viewership, according to different reports, was 365 million globally tuned in to the Euros. As a result of that, the stats say that the attendance for the WSL was up 227% over the season, like season to season. This summer, there's been over 1 million tickets sold, over 1 billion people are expected to tune in, and this is up from 1.12 billion in 2019. So I'm going to ask you, Poppy, what impact can we expect from the World Cup going into the new season and for women's football more generally?
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. Off the back of the Euros, we saw that. And yeah, I think the World Cup's even bigger than that. So yeah, definitely more audiences. But as players, that's what we want. We want to be playing on the biggest stage in front of big crowds. And yeah, this awareness is what we want to be a part of. And obviously, being with Puma, it's not just about the fit, but it's about the feeling of that awareness that they're giving us as well.
How has it changed? So you just played a season in between the Lionesses winning the Euros last summer, and then you're going in, there's a major tournament this summer. What's been the change that you felt playing over the season?
Yeah, just the talk around women's football in general. Yeah, playing alongside some of the girls out there in the World Cup. Obviously being a part of the under-23s, Lionesses myself, I've played with a lot of the girls out there, and hopefully they can do well. I think, yeah, if that happens, the WSL is going to go crazy.
Are you trying to break in too?
Of course, that's the aim.
Remember, Poppy, when this happens. Right, and before we move on from the World Cup, I want to get a prediction. Millie, who do you think is going to win?
England.
Right. Anyone have a different answer to England?
I really like Japan.
Yeah? Dark horses, right? Everyone else saying England?
Go England.
Yeah.
I feel like I was more sure before, because I actually felt like USA could do something, and now that I don't think they are. So I don't know. We'll see.
England have got a great chance.
Yeah, I do
They've
think
got
so.
a great chance. They're on the back of their last performance for sure.
Do you think they can beat Australia if Sam Kerr's back?
Yes.
I think they've got the potential to. I think now they've shown another side to the England team for sure.
Yeah, with Lauren James, yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
Right. So let's move on to the future of women's football. So we've obviously seen the game explode in the UK in the last few years. According to FA stats from 2020, 3.4 million girls and women play in the UK, but I think it's spiked since. How do you think? Well, what do you think that's attributed to? Also, you know, are these things are tournaments like this inspiring? Like, are you inspired to play more watching the tournaments? And I ask you guys as players because I have no interest in being sweaty in that way.
I think for me, on the back of a major tournament, I played in the World Cup in 2015 in Canada, and on the back of that we see a massive spike in the women's game. And then it was about keeping that at that level. I think we spiked and then we tailed off again. So I think having success obviously brings, you know, more revenue, more people coming to watch. I think for me, recently, being on the tube, going to the FA Cup final, you know, listening to little boys talking about, oh, we've given up on Chelsea, man. We're going to watch Chelsea. You know, like those,
me too. I'm a Chelsea fan, me too.
But those conversations, you know, like just hearing a little boy turn around and go, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to watch the women. And that for me was like, oh my God, like the mindset's changed, the whole concept of the women's game's changed. People actually think of the women's game and they think of quality. And it has, the level's raised in the women's game for sure, and the, you know, competitiveness and all of that stuff is second to none now. I think we talk about ACL injuries. The game has just gone another level. We're playing more games than we ever done, at a higher intensity than we've ever done. You know, all of that plays a part in that. Of course, boots, getting their boots stuck into the ground and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other research that needs to be done in and around just us being women. So I think, you know, once we get and keep progressing, we'll evolve.
Can we just rewind back to the fact that you've actually played at World Cup? Can you just tell us a bit more about that? Like, what was that like?
Unbelievable. I think that I'm most proud that I had my kids out there to watch me play. They was out there watching Mummy play, and I think for me that was really, you know, representing your country is, you know, massive. A real proud moment. And, you know, I played for a long time for England. I ended up with 94 caps, I think, so I did okay. I'm free
I'm just saying, you're just like, expose yourself. Like, you've done such great things. Right, so I'm going to ask you guys that actually are playing in this climate, you know, what isn't happening fast enough, you know? What do you guys feel needs to be done to kind of sustain this interest and sustain this popularity? So, Poppy and Millie, that's to you guys.
Yeah, I think like the girls have said, obviously, we are women, we're not the same as men. We were just talking before about the programs being different in the gym, on the pitch, running techniques, everything. The way our body works is different, so the more research that can go into any of that will be beneficial. I think the boots are just the start, and it can only go bigger and better.
Yeah, and as I was saying before, it's not just about the new design, it's also about the principle that like PUMA have invested into women's football boots. And I think it's great for like future players like myself, hopefully. Yeah.
Amazing. So beyond boots, what other kind of women-specific football products do you guys feel are needed to kind of take the game to the next level? So, well, who wants to answer that actually?
You guys first. Someone maybe have a pen and paper back there if you've got some good ideas.
What do you guys want that you don't already have that needs to be women-specific?
I mean, I love fashion, so anything that fits me good, then I'm not going to complain. But no, yeah, I mean, I think more of it is how the body works. I mean, yeah, look good, feel good, play good, but ultimately it's how your body responds on the pitch, is how you're going to bring the best performance out of yourself. But yeah, there's definitely bits and going on about sports bras is another big thing. But yeah.
Better sports bras,
Yeah.
I mean, some people don't. Some people don't talk about, but it's a thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Things like having, like, say, with the stat vest, because at the moment we have to wear a bra and put a stat vest on top. It's having maybe just little things like a compartment that you don't have to put something extra on top, maybe as well. So
too many layers.
Too many layers. Too many layers.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Anything you want that's women specific, maybe?
I think it's great that they've introduced the shorts. They're like all of them being like dark colours. I think that's great, and continue to do stuff like that help women
feel comfortable on your menstrual side.
That's a good point. Plug another product here. That's what I do. It's behind me now, but we also, I don't know if people have seen the collaboration we've done with Moddy Body. So obviously leak-proof period knickers, which like I've got them for football, and to be honest with you, I'm like, wow, why is it taking this long again? Because I don't know about you, if you wear them as well, like on game days, it just takes that anxiety and stress away, doesn't it?
I remember playing back then, and I would wear everything, I think, to layers, just so I knew that I was protected. So having
did you have to wear white shorts?
Oh God, yeah. And it was so, you'd make sure that if you was on your period that you knew someone, you're watching my back, Literally. You're watching my back. You still think I'm off.
Did anyone ever have an accident?
I think there has been instances where there's been accident. How can there not be? You know, we are women, and that's what I'm saying to you about feeling comfortable, going out and playing and feel comfortable in what you're in, and that dark shorts is massive for when you're on your period. White shorts, you know, you are, so you forever like, you know, like, I'm not like leaking or, like it sounds, you know, we can laugh about it, but it is a real big deal.
Especially with how big the audiences are now.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now with social media, back then you could get away with because you could run and no one took a picture.
You have seen instances, I think it was a goalkeeper that ran off because they needed the loo and like just ran off the game and came back. And it's like, I always like have such respect for like female players because I wouldn't even be playing sport if I was in my period.
But these sound like little things, but they're not. To us as female athletes, like they're big deals. You know, I've dealt with all the men's stuff, men's boots, whatever, all this stuff. Not even thought about a period. You didn't even talk about a period. You just go out there and your teammate would have you back. And I think all of these little things, you know, about feeling your best when you walk out onto that pitch with all the equipment you've got on, will allow you to perform at your best.
Do you feel like there needs to be training just for the coaches and also the people around? Because not all of them are women, so not all of them have periods and understand what that's like. So do you think that, you know, along with making these products, you obviously need the training to make sure that, you know, the wider team around the players understand that if you're saying that, hi, I need this, or hi, I need to do this because I'm on my period, that someone understands? Do you think that's important? And do you think brands should do that, you know, when they're training people about their products?
I can say that is happening now. We've had people come in, specialists, to talk about this with us now. And obviously it's a big step in the game when we talk about it developing and what other things can happen. It is good to know that people are doing the research about it. About symptoms. You don't feel good when you're on your period. And then you got to go out there and perform like nothing's going on. It is very good to see that happening, and to be fair, it's helped for me personally as well.
And I guess obviously then then your boots, and you're comfortable in your boots, then the whole thing comes together, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you.
That's the plan.
Yeah, of course. So we're kind of wrapping up here, but I wanted, I guess, each of you to share, I guess, one of the key issues in the game that you're kind of most passionate about resolving through your platform and what you do. Share one thing. I know there's more than one thing. Who wants to start?
Let's go first. You're looking at me. There's lots of things, but for me the thing that we get told all the time, Miss Kick, is fear of judgment and lack of self-confidence. If you look at the statistics around why girls are dropping out of sport, it is because of these problems. 1 in 4 girls are dropping out of sport at the age of 16. Girls are twice as more likely than boys to drop out of sport. So for me, I want to show girls, whether it's playing football or a career outside of football, in terms of what I'm doing now, that there's a place for them and they shouldn't feel judgment. They should feel confident in whatever they want to go and do, and hopefully it's important that we see these role models, like everyone here today, playing football and working in the game as well.
Does anyone else want to share, I guess, of all the key issues, the one that you're probably most passionate about resolving and how you're kind of leading by example? You want to talk? You're ready.
So I was part of the Next Up team, and I feel like that was great for women's football, especially like a younger level, a younger age.
Tell us more about what it does.
I think it was great because there's so many things like that for boys, but there's not many for women, so I think it was great that PUMA introduced that, and hopefully they continue that and introduce more things like that for academy players like me to show themselves, and even players that don't have a team.
Amazing. And how did that help you? What did you learn by being there?
I think it was really great because I met so many new people. Like, there's so many girls out there that don't have clubs, but they're good enough to be at clubs. Yeah. So it's all about, PUMA have created a platform for them to get recognised, and I know so many girls have got recognised from the Next Up tournament.
You did? At Tottenham now?
Yeah.
Amazing. Cool, Poppy.
Yeah, I'd say off the back of what Millie said, that's a huge thing for me. When we do talks and stuff at Brighton, you have little girls like, oh, what can I do to be professional? And it's like, yeah, it's not easy. Clubs have money now to buy big players, but of course we still want to promote to every young girl here and in academies that is still possible. And yeah, I just think from the bottom to the top, just to have that clear pathway still, and for players to be aware of that is very important.
Are you one of those people that, like, if girls DM you, you reply, and like you like giving those talks?
No, I love helping out.
Mm.
Look, I am where I am right now, but it hasn't been easy, and I know it's not easy. So yeah, I do everything I can to help people get to where they can.
Amazing. Hannah.
I think for me, it's obviously product aside, all this kind of stuff, something I'm quite passionate about will be mental health in football. And I think particularly with, obviously there's going to be so many great opportunities for girls and opportunities to be professionals at the top. But I think what also comes with that is big disappointment. Obviously I got released from an academy, but I was much older and I could deal with that. But obviously from my own experiences, I've known people who've not been able to deal with that. So kind of working with PUMA, because I'm really lucky that they're super supportive in working with like a local charity that's close to my heart in terms of they go into clubs educating players, staff, all things about mental health and, you know, warning signs to look out for and how to support players as well when maybe they don't quite play at the top, but obviously there's so many more opportunities within football, not necessarily within professional, but yeah, just kind of using that platform through PUMA to kind of help in that way as well.
Amazing. And last but not least, Katie.
Mine is, I do a lot of stuff with the foundation and I go into schools and stuff like that, and I was really surprised about education in terms of body image and how many conversations we have with girls to do with body image. We're sitting there, you know, we all laugh about boobs and periods and all that sort of stuff, but it needs to be a conversation that we have, and that one size doesn't fit all. It doesn't mean, you know, to be athletic and to be fit, you have to be tall and skinny, and you know, we're all different shapes and sizes as women, and I think it's important that we get that across to young girls and we don't lose them, because that is part of the reason why we do lose them within the game, because they feel uncomfortable in their own bodies, because they think they don't look like what they should look like. So I think that's a really important thing, that we have more workshops to work on body image, and that, you know, we're all very different and we're all very individual.
Amazing. I have one more question before I throw it out to the audience. So what do you guys think is the future of women's football, and what role do you specifically want to play in making that happen? So who wants to go first? I know it's a big, heavy question.
Oh, it's big, isn't it? I think going forward in women's football, I think obviously it's a career for yourself, isn't it? But I think across not just the top level of the game, we already see like there's full time now even in tier 3 with Newcastle. So I just think there's going to be bigger commitment just throughout the game. I think there's going to be way more opportunities for girls to make it as a career. And I suppose for me, like I've almost finished playing now, but yeah, like you guys saying, just inspiring that next generation of girls who come and watch, and, you know, encouraging them to keep playing in the game and stuff like that. So
amazing. And like, what's your specific role? I guess making this stuff accessible, because you put it, make sure it's in the stores.
Keep pushing the guys at PUMA to keep making more products, isn't it? That's the thing. And obviously trying to put it in the shop and tell people that we've got it there, and yeah, that's the aim.
Amazing. Who wants to go next?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think the future, in terms of a grassroots perspective, I think there's going to be more and more girls playing football. I think there's going to be specific provision for girls, and like we were talking about, education around periods and hormones and all those types of things, starting at that younger age. I think that's important. We're seeing it now at the top level, but we need to see it at the start. That's where girls find their first love of the game, and that's where they need to progress onto. In terms of my role, I like to think as Miss Kit Foundation, we represent the voice of the young people. I get to speak to them on a daily basis through our sort of community chats and things that we do. So it's just ensuring that everything that we do, whether it's at events like this or in our initiatives and our community programmes, that it's about putting her first and making sure her opinion's heard, because I think that's what's really going to turn the needle and change things, is when we listen to the girls who are not maybe playing so high up, but on the ground level as well.
Amazing. You ready, Poppy?
Yeah. For me, I think women's football doesn't come as a surprise anymore, hopefully in the future. When you see, I don't know, Lauren James, my good friend, scoring that goal, it's not like, oh my God, surprise, you know? Everyone knows the capabilities of women's players. Of course, we're going to celebrate, it's a big goal, but, you know, I want it to be just as much talked about as men's football. People to have the profiles just as big. And yeah, hopefully my role, obviously I've progressed through the age groups with England, the club level, playing professional for all the years I have. I want to continue that, and hopefully I can make the senior team myself and show that there's a path through generations.
Amazing. Millie, Katie, who wants to go?
I think for me it's the grassroots thing. I think, there's so much work to be done in that area of women's football. The top's great, which is great because they've got someone to aspire to, they've got role models, shirts to wear, women's shirts, all that sort of stuff. But down below, as the Lionesses have done, equal access to PE lessons, football, those sort of things. And I always say to my kids in primary schools, why do we make it a girls' session and a boys' session? Why is a football session not just a football session? Then we take away that part of it. And I'm still trying to drum into them, just put a football session on. And whoever wants to play football, plays football. Don't keep separating everything, just make it one thing, it's just football, and that's how we'll move through and change the whole, perception of what people think about it. But the women's game, as everyone's changed, their mindsets are changing. You're going to always get people that think, it's crap, whatever. And we never want to compare ourselves to the men's game. No, we don't. We don't want to. We're not men. We don't want to compare our game of football to the men. Ours is very, very different. We're very different, and I think people should just treat it, as football.
Amazing. And last but not least, Millie?
I think a big difference between women's and men's football is the facilities given to academy players. Because for me, when I was at West Ham, the facilities for the first team was so much better than the facilities for the academy. And being exposed to the facilities at the first team, you were like, wow, this is incredible. I want to be here all the time. And I feel like the gap is closing, but there's still more to be done. And
So you want to lead by example and show what's possible for the next generation?
I guess so, yeah.
Amazing. Right. Thank you guys for a brilliant panel. Thank you guys for listening. Let's give everyone a round of applause. I want to give you guys the opportunity to plug your socials, so feel free to share what they are. You want to plug your socials if you want people to follow you?
Go on, Mel.
Millie.Boughton.
Poppy Pattinson.
Grace Vella.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to follow my socials. Anyway.
You're following. I feel like I want to follow. What?
You'll only see
Katie
my
told me
kids.
I want to
You'll
follow.
just see my kids.
I want to follow. What is yours?
My kids. No, you don't follow.
We'll find her. Right, it's time for audience questions. Does anyone have any questions for our panel? Don't be shy. Yes.
Hi. Is there going to be investment in sort of the shapewear for women going forward? Because over the years you kind of see just the curvature that gets introduced and not a lot for sort of bust size, sort of your waist as well. Is there going to be sort of shapewear to be improved on?
I think at the moment I can take in the product line, not yet, but I think again it's kind of things like this feedback that we need, and I think it's stuff that we need to feed back to people, because unless we kind of hear it, and I know it myself as well from being in football teams wearing things, not everyone wants, like you say, that really tight fitting round the arms up here, do they? So it's kind of it's trying to find a fit that suits everyone, isn't it? But I think that's definitely something that we can start to feed back into the product teams and maybe look into our fit a little bit more in a bit more detail, and obviously take a sample of real women as well, and yeah.
Do you guys wear
Yeah,
shapewear?
we have a women's fit kit.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I do.
Any other observations to add? No?
I think it's different, exactly that, for individuals. As you say, you've got bigger busts, you're a bit bigger, lower. Women in general are bigger around our hips and our waists, just because we carry children, right? So it is about feeling the same thing, feeling comfortable. If you're not comfortable in your own body and they're making you put a shirt on that's, really tight and makes you feel horrible, why do you then want to go out on the pitch and perform? You don't, and it is important. That's what I'm saying to you, these things are really dismissed quite easily, but they are really important to those people that feel that way. They have to go out and try and perform in somewhere they're not comfortable in.
Amazing.
But I had that last year, because one of my football shirts, I won't say what brand it wasn't PUMA, but the sleeves are up here, and I felt so uncomfortable. On the pitch I'm like this, trying to
And that's what you do forever, you see people forever doing that, or pulling their shorts down because they're too short, or those sort of things, and it is about feeling comfortable. If you want to perform at your best, it is that 1% difference that makes, that difference on the pitch.
So it's about choice, isn't it, ultimately?
Yeah.
That you can choose. Amazing.
Pen and paper, yeah.
Pen and paper. Got that written down at the back. Definitely, no, thank you for that, it's good.
Yeah, really great observation. Anything else that anyone wants to ask the panel? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, so I have a question. So how do you deal with pressure when you are playing a match?
I used to love pressure, to be honest with you, when I played. I loved the big occasions, the big games. They're what I sort of thrived off. So for me, I learned to manage obviously pressure as I got older and became a captain at Chelsea and to lead people and manage that pressure. But I knew that if I was a little bit nervous, I was going to have a great game. So I think that, and I enjoyed the big occasions, like trophies. That's what you play for, right?
How many did you win? Tell us.
10 FA Cups, Champions League. Oh, I've done all right.
Great question. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I think so interesting. Thanks for all your kind of everything's really good. And there's been a lot of reference to the explosion of the women's game over the last few years, which I think is to be celebrated and doesn't really need kind of evidencing. But my question is, and to be fair, I'm a football fan myself, but I think what fascinates me is seeing it's the Netball World Cup at the minute, right? And how do we ensure that what we've seen across the women's game and that growth and expansion and sort of research, investment, culture and community that's been kind of supported around it, how do brands ensure that that's replicated across different sports and athletics? And for example, the stats around dropout rates, obviously football's not going to be right for every single girl, so how do we kind of ensure that all girls are brought along on that journey?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I suppose Billy, it's probably one for you, isn't it, in the marketing team over there, and kind of obviously Billy. Sorry, this is Billy. Everyone in the marketing team. Hey, dragged you in. But yeah, I think it's something that obviously for us to think about because obviously football is one of the big focuses. But like you say, there are so many other sports, and that obviously we produce products for. But it's kind of getting it that exposure, isn't it? And like you say, I think obviously it comes with investments. So it's kind of something we have to look into. But I think it's definitely in the future. Like I say, we can see what can happen with women's football and how big that is and how it's become such a big commercial opportunity. What's to say that's not within other sports as well? Yeah, there's probably lots of hidden gems there, isn't there? We're just waiting to be. So yeah, something we can definitely look into, I think, as a brand going forward.
I'd say on the back of that as well, one thing women are good at, for what I think, is supporting each other. Women look after women. And I think you've seen the good luck messages from team to team, the Lionesses to the netball girls and vice versa, and I think the more that we can do that to each other and grow together, I think it's definitely important.
Amazing. Cool. Another question?
Maybe a point for the marketing team.
Billy,
maybe the question around multi-sport and the importance of multi-sport for female athletes and prevention of injuries. Obviously injuries are a really topical point at the moment, and I've been looking at this for many years, having been in athletics, and athletics as an example is a really good sport that supports football. And so you've got kids coming up through football. It's really good if they do athletics in the off season. It complements their football, but it also gives them other benefits with their strength, their physique, their balance. And maybe promoting that a bit more to mainstream would be, quite important. I know a lot of people in sport know that multi-sport's important, but there's, Joe Blogs know it because it's not really promoted.
I mean, do you guys play other sports besides football?
I used to.
What did you used to play?
I used to do race walking.
Race walking? Tell us more. I did not expect you to say that. Tell us more.
you're going to have to get up and show us in a bit, yeah?
Tell us more. By race walking, what do you mean? What was your time?
My time?
Yeah, it's a race, right?
Probably faster than you could run.
Faster than I could run.
Right, Carnaby.
And how did doing that help you kind of transfer over to football?
I think it really helped my fitness. I think a big thing that I was able to have over a lot of other players was my fitness, and I could last full 90 without being out of breath completely. Yeah.
Awesome. How long did you race walk for?
Maybe 4 years. I was Australian champion a couple of times.
Wow. That's really great. Did any of you guys play any other sports besides football?
Growing up, yeah. In school, I think it's massive to play every sport. It's important to find out what you love, and yeah, for me it was gymnastics or football. Becoming pro, obviously now it's every single second of the day you live to perform in the game. So yeah, it was one or the other, and chose football.
Does that mean that kind of flexibility that you kind of
I am not flexible anymore.
that like transferred over. Any other sports that you guys played?
I danced and swam before I played football. I didn't start playing football until I was 11. I think it's important to try. I think you try all different sports. If you're athletic, you know, you're going to try all different things. And I think when you find something that you really love, you know, you jump into that wholeheartedly. But I think it is important that you try. Like, I always encourage to try different things, because you don't know until you sort of feel, you know, the game of whatever that is. You know, I've got boys that play netball, funny enough, in school, and I had the conversation that when they go to secondary school, they have to play basketball. So there's all sorts of conversations, you know, that can cross wires and all that them sorts of things. You know, I'm fighting for women to play football, but my boys can't play netball when they move on. So there's lots of like cross wires and stuff like that. That's why I think that, you know, sport should just be sport, and you go up to a certain level where you can play mixed teams, and then of course, you know, as we change and adapt and evolve, we become completely different, because they are stronger and fitter and, you know, faster than us. There's just men and women, right? But I think up until that point, I think it should just be a level playing field, that a sport is a sport and you play mixed teams and you get on with it, and that will just make everyone feel comfortable in everyone's company, and hope progress and move the game forward, because it's good on both sides, you know. Women are good for the men or boys, and then vice versa, you know, it works both ways. We learn from each other in that situation.
Nice. When I was younger, I was fast, so I sprinted for a bit, and then actually my sport was swimming, but I had to pick between swimming and my hair.
It looks great.
Yeah. Good choice.
Right swimmer. I was like, back stroke was my stroke. Really into that. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
It's more about the boots themselves. Obviously, like, they're like visually different, but I didn't know about like the differences in terms of like you wear them in different positions. I don't know if you guys have worn different pairs and found differences in like what's the difference between wearing like a future and an ultra.
It's a great question. Go on.
It is, but I actually have only worn the ultra.
Same with me.
So you're trying to be fast, because
Yeah.
they're the fastest.
Yeah, these guys are the speeds.
Oh, would have been
yeah,
in
we're yeah. So obviously these ones are more designed for
the black and white ones.
Kate was fuming because they're not leather anymore and they've not got a tongue, the fingers. So no, but obviously like these ones are like predominantly for speed. So obviously the way they're fitted is more for being like fast, lightweight. Whereas this one is more creative, so it's got more of like a locked-in fit. So like this is my kind of
I'm a
big
defender,
choice.
so
The
don't like my
playmaker.
creative one.
I'm not sure. The playmaker. Then obviously the King as well. Like as you mentioned, it's kind of that old school, the control boot, isn't it? But obviously using K better instead of K leather. So yeah. So like for all the different positions, like what I'd say is try them on, because everyone's foot is different. It's not always just locked down to what position you play or whatever. Like you see some of like the goalkeepers, you see Harry Maguire wearing like an ultra. You wouldn't put him down as a speedster, but you know it's finding like what's comfortable for you,
like,
isn't it? Exactly. It's all about your foot, and so like I'd urge you to come and try them on if you get a chance to see what works for you.
Amazing. I think I'm being told that we have no more time for any more questions. Oh, no. I've got time for one more. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. What piece of advice would you give to the younger generation of girls who are looking up to you guys and maybe want to be professional footballers?
Ooh. Who wants to start? That's a great question.
You do.
Poppy.
For me, it is enjoy it and, you know, give everything in every single possible situation. I think now women's football is a huge stage. You never know who's watching and what opportunity can come around. So, yeah, I think if you put your mind to it, anything's possible.
Well, I'm sort of the younger generation.
I know, but what advice would you give someone who's looking at you, a bit younger, and is like, yeah, I want to be like Millie? What would you say to them?
As Poppy said, there's always someone watching. Like, you won't know it, but there's going to be someone watching, and there's always opportunities out there, and the opportunities are growing. Like there's more every day, more opportunities for women's football. And I think that's great, and I think the younger generation, they're seeing more people at women's games, and it's like inspiring them. And I think more and more girls are getting into football, and it's great, and hopefully it continues to increase.
Amazing, and obviously they should watch you, right?
I mean, if they like the way I play, yeah.
Oh, so humble. Anything to add, Grace?
I mean, I'm not a professional footballer.
You are good, but you like
Me and Hannah used to play together
did
in the same team, yeah.
Well, I ask you because obviously the Miss Kick Foundation is the largest community of female footballers, so that's why I ask you, because like you said, you're around them every day. So like, what advice from like who you've been around could you give that could be helpful?
I think always remember why you're doing something, especially whether it's sport or a passion. It's remembering that when things get to a fore, people might not necessarily agree with what you're doing. So for the girls at Miss Kick and the community that we've built, I like to think myself and the rest of the team represent an ambitious team. Again, my background was football and I didn't quite make it, and showing girls that there are these other opportunities in the game, and if you want to change something or stand up for something, they have the power sort of within them to set something up and give it a go and just see where it takes them.
Finally, Katie.
I just think, you know, dream big, be you, never stop learning, and play with a smile on your face.
That's a perfect note to end on. Right, thank you guys on the panel. And thank you all for listening to us. Make sure you check out the Breakthrough Pack before you leave. And yeah, maybe try and grab these guys if you